Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Robert Frost, who is categorized as a modern poet, and most of his poems are published under the title of North of Boston because he belonged to that place. Yes, North of Boston. North of Boston. And this poem is also a part of that collection, and here this is an allegory of modern life. So allegory is what? Allegory is something we can say which describes or which explains a hidden meaning, which reveals a hidden meaning in the form of a story, in the form of a picture, or in the form of something else. So we can say a parable can be an allegory. It can be in a symbolic form as well. A painting can be an allegory. So it reveals something hidden. And so it always tells a story. Unlike symbolism, I must differentiate it with symbolism. Unlike symbolism, it tells a story. So that's allegory. So here we can say this is an allegory of modern life, that what or how a modern man is engaged in the daily life of bread winning, bread earning, and he is like aloof, and he is quite away from the natural world, the world which surrounds him. He is away from all that, and he stops relishing, enjoying the natural beauty around him. So it tells us, it has an idea of, we can say, the occupied state of mind of modern man with care and worries. So it tells us of that. Apart from that, we can say that it is a monologue as well. And monologue means there is a speaker who tells something, who speaks out his mind, and there are listeners, one or more than one, but the listeners don't take part in the dialogue. There is no dialogue. It is just a one-way dialogue, one-way speaking. The others remain only silent participant, we can say. They have no role to play except listening. So here the speaker, the apple picker, is telling us about his state, his condition, state of mind as well, through this, that after the task of apple picking, he is all tired, he is fed up of this apple picking, and he is off to sleep, he is dreaming. And to express that state of dreaming and sleepiness, the poet has used a different sort of rhyme scheme here. He moves in and out of rhyme here. There are, as we can say, irregular rhyme pattern here. The poem is written in Iambic Pentameter. Now, meter is a certain way of writing a poem, and here I'll tell you what Iambic Pentameter means. So, for example, here I am quoting a line from one of quite famous poems of Thomas Gray, that is an elegy written in a country churchyard. And how the line goes, it is: the curfew tolls, the knell of parting day. Now this is the line, and Iambic Pentameter means, penta means 5, and iamb has a certain pattern of weak and strong syllables. So if we take this line, there are 10 syllables, and so they can be grouped as 5 fu. Now how it is, this is weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Now if I count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are total 10 syllables and 2 syllable form a food. So in this way there are 5 food. That's why it becomes pentameter. Iamb means the group should be of weak and strong syllable. So that's how it goes, or it becomes iambic pentameter. So the complete poem, or say 2/3 of the poem, is written in iambic pentameter, not the, and here and there is deviation from that as well. And as I said, this irregular rhyme and rhythm very well expresses the dreamy state and the sleepy state of the speaker's mind. He is off to sleep, he has apples in his dream, and the sleep has been rhymed in some places. It has been used again and again to convey that idea of sleepiness. Moreover, there is a comparison here with woodchuck's sleep, which moreover in the end he compares that to death as well. So he has heightened perhaps or elevated this idea of sleepiness here, and in that way he perfectly explains the modern man's condition in this poem. So let's see how he has explained all this out here in this poem. So let's begin now. My long two-pointed ladder is sticking through a tree. The poet has used beautiful symbols. There is imagery of we can say visual imagery is there, sound imagery is there, imagery of touch. All different types of imageries have been used here by the poet, and also metaphorical usage is there. It's really quite beautiful poem, conveying a very beautiful message. So my long two-pointed ladder is sticking through a tree toward heaven still. So here it is perhaps establishing a mystical communion with God itself, and this ladder is a symbol, just as we can say in Genesis the David's ladder has been mentioned. So here the same way this ladder is showing a way to God, as he is saying that my two-pointed ladder sticking through a tree. So this is actually what in a way he is trying to explain that he is all tired by the after doing the task of apple picking. The ladder is still sticking through the tree, and it's showing what? It's showing the way towards heaven. That is perhaps in a way the life is now out to reach God itself. That's what he is trying to say here, that my long two-pointed ladder sticking through a tree toward heaven still. So perhaps now it's time to to have a communion with God, to have this ladder is a kind of acting as a bridge between the poet and God. So this is how he is trying to explain, and how it is we'll come to know that in the later lines of in the last stanza of this poem as well. In between there are some other things. So, and there is a barrel that I didn't fill beside it. So a barrel, a container, a bin is there, which is to be filled by the apples that he is picking or plucking from the trees. So there is a barrel that I didn't fill, so it is still to be filled, it's not completely filled. And there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick from some bowl. So there might be some left by the apple picker, that he is picking those apples from different branches and boughs. So it's possible he's saying that some may be left, but now I'm no more willing to do or to pick them. He's saying what? But I am done with apple picking now. But I am done, I am finished, I am through. I can't go with this apple picking anymore. I'm done with this. I've done a lot of apple picking, so I can't go anymore with this apple picking. I've done it a lot. That's what he is. Essence of winter sleep. Now why is saying so? Because he is all tired and he is no more in a condition to go on with the apple picking task, and he is feeling sleepy. And why he is feeling sleepy? Because he is tired, and there is something more to this. Essence of winter sleep is on the night. And what? The scent of apples. So there are two reasons that he is feeling sleepy. One, it's winter season, so winter season is supposed to have a sense of what decay and passivity. It makes one what passive, it drains the energy and all that. So the essence of winter sleep is on the night. So nights are long, days are short and all that. So the essence of winter sleep, that is, it's overflowing. It is overflowing in the atmosphere. The winter sleep has overpowered the whole atmosphere, and the scent of apples is also prevailing and spreading all over. So the blend of this wintry atmosphere and also the scent of apples, which is prevailing all over, overflowing in the atmosphere. So both the blend of all this, the mixture of all this is really causing the apple picker to sleep, has overpowered him as well. And he says, I'm drowsing off. So because of that, I'm drowsing off, I'm feeling quite sleepy, and I cannot rub. Now here you can see the length of lines. The first line is quite long one, the second short one, and the same way the other lines also move in that way, rhyming, not rhyming, long, short. So that is the peculiarity of this poem, one of the peculiarities of this poem, we can say. And I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. I got from looking through a pan of glass. I skimmed this morning from a drinking trough. So what, there is a drinking trough. Trough is, a tank, a water tank that is used for cattle to quench their thirst. So here what the winter sleep, he's saying that I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. So like how the modern man is, we can easily understand from this line here, that we are so much engrossed and immersed in our lives, in the task of earning livelihood and making money and all those after material possessions, so that we have stopped, we have ceased enjoying the natural beauty all around us, and we are quite strange to all those things, or those things are quite strange to us. It seems all quite quite different and strange to us, peculiar to us. It's like that we are unable to establish any familiarity with all these things. This is what happens with the modern man, and that's what he is saying, that he had been so much busy in apple picking task that the whole atmosphere around seems all strange to him. He is unable to have a rapport with all that. He is unable to have a harmony with all that. It seems all strange to him. So that's what he is saying, I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. I got from looking through the pan of glass. And here this pan of glass is nothing but the sheet of ice that has formed on the surface of the water in the trough, because it is wintry season, so the water has all frozen, and on the surface it is the sheet of ice. So I skimmed, when he took that sheet of ice and held it and saw through it, it seemed all strange to him. He was unable to find or see any familiarity in that, and held against the world of hoary grass. So what he is trying to say here, held against the world of hoary grass. So hoary grass is what, the grass all covered with snowflakes and dewdrops, and that's why it appears to be ori, that is grayish white. So when he held the glass, means the sheet of ice before him, and saw through it, it seemed all strange to him that perhaps he didn't know about, he was not familiar with, it seemed like that to him, and it melted. It melted and I let it fall and break. So of course that's to happen. It was sheet of ice, so it melted, it went down, it broke, and he couldn't do anything in that. He let it fall and break, and then what? But I was well upon my sleep before it fell. So he says, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell. Though it fell, but before it fell, he was like all sleepy. He was on his way to sleep. He was really overpowered by that sleepiness. And he says, and I couldn't tell what form my dreaming was about to take. So now you can see that very short line, again big line, that how he was perhaps in and out of that sleepiness, like might be dozing and off to sleep and then on and then off to sleep. So it was something like that, and these uneven lines best expresses the mental state of the apple picker here. So I was well upon my sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. So as he had been very much engrossed and engaged in the task of apple picking, he says that he knew what it would be there in his dream. Surely and definitely it was going to be the apples for which he was working, picking them and sorting them out, and also definitely it must be the apples, what magnified apples, and that's what he's saying here in the next line. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stemmed and blossomed. So yes, lots of apples, big apples, crab apples, so they appear in the dream. The apples come and go, appear and disappear, some stemmen, some blossomen, so different sizes and different types, all they come in his dream, and every fleck of russet showing clear. So that russet, that is orange red color on the apples, a sign that yes, they are all ripe for it, they can be picked now, all perfect. So and showing that, so every fleck of every spot of russet showing clear, so having that orange red color on the surface, perfectly ripened, and what, my instep arch not only keeps the egg, it keeps the pressure of the ladder round. So what he is trying to say here, that my instep arch, what the curve of your soul is called instep arch. So my instep arch not only keeps the egg, of course has been standing there on the rung of the ladder for a long time picking those apples, so now it's aching, it's paining. So that instep arch is maintaining that as well, and also keeping the ladder against the tree. So it's a difficult task standing on the rung of the ladder for a long time and also sticking or placing it against the tree. So it's really a difficult task. And he says that yes, I've been doing it for a long, my soul is, my instep arch is aching, placing it, keeping the ladder against the tree, and of course bearing, putting up with the weight of the body and all that, so it's aching. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend. So of course with the wind the boughs move, the branches move, and the ladder also just sways and swerves and moves. So he says, as the bows bend, my ladder sways, it moves, undulates, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load and load of apples coming in. Now here is the imagery. It is the sound imagery, we can say. Otherwise, the visual imagery has also been there when he is talking of magnified apples appear and disappear and all that. So that is visual imagery, example of that. Here it is rumbling sound of apples. So it's an example of sound imagery. Oh, I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load and load of apples coming in. So lots of apples coming in, falling into the cellar, into the bin. Cellar is basement where people store things. So here apples are being stored in a basement, in a cellar, in a bin, in a container. That's what he's saying. So what the rumbling sound of load and load of apples. So load and load, the word has been repeated here. So we can say poet has used repetition in this line. Now liquid consonant sounds have also been used because when L and such sounds are repeated, we say we call them liquid consonants, and they have also been repeated here. So for I have had so much, too much of apple picking. So he says, why it's also that why the apples come in my dream, why I dream of so many big apples and their sounds, because I have had too much of apple picking. Yes, been doing it for quite a long time, and I'm tired of all this. I'm really overtired with this, and he himself says here, I am tired, I'm overtired of the great harvest that I myself desired. Now again, it is what expressing perfectly the care of the modern life, the modern day life, that how people crave a lot, how people long for a lot of things, and then they themselves are tired of all that, and they themselves later on feel reluctant. That's here how the apple picker desired of a bumper harvest, but now when he had the bumper harvest, he is tired of all that. So that is the modern man today, that we crave for lots of things, we long for lots of things, but when we have all that, we ourselves feel tired at the end. So here it shows the greed as well, that we have become so much greedy that we want more and more without taking into the consideration the result and the consequences of all that. So this line best expresses the idea. So he says, I'm overtired of the harvest that I myself desired, that he himself desired, he himself wanted that he should have a bumper harvest, but when he had the bumper harvest, he is tired of picking those apples, and he doesn't want to go with the apple picking anymore. And there were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down and not let fall. So here the sense of the imagery of touch, he's saying 10,000. So this is, we can say, overstatement, hyperbole has been used by the poet here. It's not like the poet is counting or the apple picker is counting. It's just to state, yes, the big number of apples, the bumper harvest. So to suggest that this number has been used. So lots of apples were there to lift in hand, to cherish all that, but yes, not let fall. They were not to be dropped, they were not to let fall on the ground. Why? Because, say, of course, something that you himself have desired, when you have all that, you feel touching and having in hand and cherishing it for some moment and all. So you really treat it as quite precious one. So that's what he is saying, that lots of apples were there to touch and to cherish and to lift in hand and not let fall. Why? Now he's saying, for all that struck the earth. No matter, for all that struck the earth, no matter whether it was bruised, if not bruised, or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. So it's something like whether they are bruised or not, whether they are spiked or not, it doesn't matter, it's of no importance. It goes down to the earth. It's of the poet says, if an apple falls onto the ground, it is of no worth, as if, because it is only useful to be juiced for making juices, and so it goes to cider apple heap. So cider presser is something, cider press is something which is used for juicing the fruit. So he says, now if apples just fall down onto the ground, they are considered not useful. They are it is perhaps that they become worthless after falling down onto the ground, and so they are not used for other purposes. Now it doesn't matter whether they have been bruised or not, whether they have been spiked with a stubble or some splinter or not, it doesn't matter, but yes, they are no more useful for any other purposes except for making juice. That's what he is saying. And then one can see what will trouble the sleep of mind. So he is trying to say again that yes, only what the thought of apples. Now it can easily be understood that even the dreams were of apples, so one can see that what will trouble the sleep of mind. Of course it is the apples, the care. So the poet is trying to say, in other words, that the modern man is so much full of worries and cares and problems that even in sleep he has those worries just creating upheaval and turbulence in his mind, and he just goes on thinking about all of those problems. So here the poet is trying to say that one can understand that now what's going to trouble my sleep. Of course it is the thought of apple, the care, the worries about the apple. That's what going to happen in my sleep. I'll have all these things in my mind, in my dream. And he says, whatever sleep it is. Now whatever sleep, what does he mean by that? Because he is trying to elaborate and going to explain it further here in the next lines. He says, were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep as I describe it's coming on, or just some human sleep. Now what he say, that woodchuck is a rodent that hibernates in the winter season and then come back all refreshed. So he says, if he were not gone, the woodchuck were not gone, perhaps he could say that what sleep it would be. Means the poet is trying to say, I don't know what kind of sleep it would be, whether I would come all refreshed after the sleep, just as that woodchuck comes and would have a refreshed and new view of the world, a new vision of the world after that, or it's going to be an eternal sleep, the permanent sleep. After that there would be no waking up, because still now he is pondering and just ruminating over this, that what kind of sleep it would be. I don't know. Would it be the sleep like a woodchuck has, a refreshing one, an energizing one, a rejuvenating one, or would it be just eternal common human sleep? And here he is indicating at the eternal sleep, that is death, that after that there would be no waking up. Perhaps he would shuffle off this mortal coil and would have a communion with God. So I don't know what kind of sleep it would be. So this is how he explains the present condition, or the modern day life, the modern man's condition here through this poem, through a simple, a common task of apple picking. And I hope it's all clear to you, the idea is very much clear to you, and keep watching. I'll come with more such videos on different poems and different poetic devices and everything related to literature and language. So be associated and be tuned with this channel, subscribe to this channel. So okay, till then, thank you very much.